Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. Today is the first match reaction, the first ever match review of Oxford United's season of not the league. As I mentioned in the preview, thank you very much for the support on the preview. If you haven't watched the preview, I know it's the end of the game, but I still would recommend checking that out as well. Just have to quickly mention as well, I actually predicted the exact lineup that Oxford played today, so that's pretty decent. I was right with the situation behind playing that team that I think we're going to play against Lincoln, and obviously then having Sean Clare probably back for that game. When he's served his suspension. But I think Sam Long filled in today and did a pretty decent job. But we'll come on to that as well. I've got a few notes. I've got a few things we're going to talk about, sort of the general analysis of the game. I'm going to be speaking about individual players. We're going to be doing the player ratings. And all that good stuff as well. If you've enjoyed the Young Fan Podcast episodes, definitely do leave a like on this episode and the other episodes of the podcast as well. Thank you very much for the continuous support I am receiving on these episodes. It is fantastic. Very exciting one today because it is the match reaction, and Oxford United have won against Wimbledon. Not an easy one, not an easy game. We made it quite difficult for ourselves. We took it all the way to penalties and won on penalties. Another penalty shootout victory, I guess, for Oxford United. It's been difficult to break. We find it difficult to break teams down, and I think today was another example of that. But we'll come on to that as the episode and as the review goes on today. But like I said, thank you very much for supporting. If you could subscribe, and I haven't been saying this, but if you could hit that notification bell right next to the subscribe button on the Young Fan Podcast YouTube channel. That is how you're going to get notifications to your phone or your laptop or whatever. It'll be in your subscriptions box anyway, and then you'll never miss an episode of the podcast. I'm going to be doing match reviews. Obviously, I've still got the World of Football episodes as well. We've got lots of exciting things coming to the Young Fan Podcast, and we will be continuing to do just that. But Today is the day that we do our first ever one. It's not the league, as I've mentioned as well. It's not the league. It is, of course, the Carabao Cup, which obviously you can, either way. It is a competition and a match that we would love to win. Whether it's a league game, whether it is a cup game, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, even the Leasing Cup on Tuesday night, we still want to win every single game. And as I said in the preview, it may not be a game that Carl Robinson's taking overly seriously. Maybe the players aren't going too over the top about it. But I think it's a game we definitely should be winning. A game that we should definitely be competing in a game we should definitely be taking seriously. And Oxford United did do that. Like I said, it took a while for us to start playing the football. We know quite well of Oxford United. But when we did start doing that, the game did sort of open up and become a little easier for Oxford. And then typically in Oxford United style, we find our momentum, we find our form. And then it all goes wrong, and we concede one of the sloppiest goals in probably Carabao Cup history, which of only Oxford United can, of course, do. Quick individual, pretty notey notes. That doesn't make much sense, but in my head it does. The sort of pretty much random notes I've written down, I'm just going to put out there. In the first 20 minutes, we had 74% possession. And I think that generally just does sum up the way we play. We like that possession-plays football. Carl Robinson has always sort of implemented that possession style at Oxford United. I think that's what we continue to do, and I think that's what we definitely intended to do today. But we do that, but we then struggle to break teams down. And if you watch that game, if you didn't watch that game, I understand people are going to come into this after watching the game and going to want to hear a fan opinion of it, and that's fantastic. If you haven't watched the game as well, this is probably going to be another way of listening to it. You could listen to the reaction of the fans on the radio, or you could come here and listen to this podcast on how I look at the game. And if you're watching this, I respect that. And I thank you for that. But this is my opinion on the game. I'm not a professional in analysing matches. I'm not a professional. I'm a fan looking at this game from a fan point of view. But someone that just loves football and loves talking about football. First 20 minutes, 74% possession. That sums it up. We like possession, but we can't break these teams down. And when we do, it takes quite a while to do it. There will be games, I'm sure there will be games where in the first 10 minutes we can get an early goal, but too many times this season it's taken us a while. Well, I say this season, as it's the only first game of the season, but in recent, I keep forgetting, of course, that last season was last season because there was such a small break. I keep messing up, but I mean, last season as well, it was just the teams that want to sit back are the teams we struggle against most. The teams that we should beat on paper, the teams that we struggle against. Because at the end of the day, we like to pass it, we like to keep the ball, we like playing that sort of the way of football. But the problem is then we then have to break teams down, and that is where we struggle. No real clear cut chance in the 20 minutes for either team. We're holding to the ball well, but we're not doing anything with the ball. It's just frustrating because we know what we can do with the ball. We know we can do that short, sharp passing. We know we can ping a ball from one side to the other. We've got the ability and the players with the ability to do that. But have we got the players at the moment? I mean, we do, but where is that sort of break? Where are we going to find the players that are going to break it down at a quicker pace? Each player can do it, and each player will, and I believe will definitely do it. But last season it was the same. We play against teams, home or away, that we should be winning, but we take too long to try and break into the game. We take too long to break into the game. It took us 60 minutes today before we could break down the team, before we could break down Wimbledon. And 60 minutes have gone. 60 minutes have gone, and we finally score, and then 5 minutes later we've conceded again. So it's just frustration because we're getting so far, we're scoring, and then we're conceding one of the sloppiest goals I've ever seen. Great passing football. I thought it was really, really good. I thought we were generally passing the ball very, very well. I thought the passing was pretty good. Not at its best, but I'd still say pretty good. We love passing Oxford United. That's the style that we've implemented, or Carl Robinson's implemented. I think we have done that very well. I think we did do that very well today. But I just think it just all took a little bit too long. It just took a little bit. It all seemed a little bit in slow motion. The way that the game was panning out. It took us a while to be able to implement the way we wanted to play the football, which is quick pass, quick fast passing, quick fast, and breaking these teams down. And that's something we just struggled to do today. So we did it in the end, but like I said, by the time we did it, it's this thing of Oxford. We can dominate a game, and we'll dominate, finally score, and then we'll concede about 5 minutes later. But in between of those 5 minutes, we'll look like we're going to score another 4 goals. You know, it looks like when we get that first goal, we go on, and then we're going up and up and up. So we're dominating, and then we get that goal, and then we look like we're peaking, and then we just fall, and that needs to be sorted out because it's going to bite you. It bit us pretty hard against Wimbledon. If there's a game that we didn't need it to happen, it was against Wickham, and it cost us promotion at the end of the day. In that game, we actually got even more unlucky because we scored a goal. We conceded a goal after about 20 minutes. It was probably even shorter than that. Probably it's about 10 minutes. I can't even remember. But we conceded that goal, and then we were looking at each other like, what will we do next? We're breaking this team down. We're trying. We do it, and then we look like we're playing football, and then we look like we're going for it, and then we think, this game's going to be a breeze. We're playing the football we've been playing all season. We're playing that peak Oxford United football that we all know and love. And then we concede a silly goal. In that case, it was a penalty. But it's a mistake. Today, it was such a messy goal. But before then as well, I think Wimbledon probably had the better chances. I think Wimbledon were quite unlucky, I'd say, not to be 1-0 up. I mean, they had a good chance in the first half, a good chance in the second half. And then we scored a good goal through Cameron Brannigan. I thought it was a really, really good goal from Cameron Brannigan. Took it down well and a nice volley into the bottom right. But up till then, it was very much Oxford United trying to dictate the game. They were dictating the game. They wanted to dictate the tempo of the football match, and then it took way too long for them to do that. And then we eventually scored, but we switch off. It's not an instant switch off. It's not a complacency switch off. I don't believe it is. I don't believe it is a case of we've conceded, right? We've won the game. Boys. Let's have a kick about now and see it out. I don't think it is that. It's a case of we score the goal. We think then we can beat 2 or 3-0. We don't. And then it's like a lack of confidence from not scoring 2 or 3 goals after we've had that high pressure. And then we concede a silly, silly goal. And it's not just any goal we concede. I come back to it again. set pieces. How many goals have Oxford United scored against physical sides, not great footballing sides? Wimbledon didn't play the best football. They're not known to play the best football. They're a very physical side. They're a very strong side. They knocked the ball well. They knocked the ball well, quite well, I thought at times. I think they definitely looked better than I thought they were going to look. They looked much better than when obviously we beat them 5-0 last season. My prediction was obviously 2-0. It wasn't 2-0. It could have been, but it's a silly mistake. It's silly mistakes again, and it's a set piece again. How many set pieces is it going to take until we start realising that we're actually really bad at set pieces, and we need to sort that out? Wickham, not a great footballing side. They don't really come to play football. You know, if you're a Wickham fan and you're watching this, I'll be surprised because you're not in League One anymore. So if you're watching this, or maybe just interested in football, fair enough, welcome. Everyone's welcome. But I think even you could admit as well, I don't think you come to play the most attractive football. And they're a very, very physical side. They're a side that likes to sort of not bully teams out of it, but I guess bully teams and try and physically beat them. And that's exactly what Wickham did. And that's why I always give credit to Wickham, because that's exactly what we did. We fell into their trap. Their trap was, can we get the ball up long? Can we hold it up with our strong forwards? Can we be physical going forward defensively, which they were? We fall in the trap of panicking. We can't play the way we want to play. We get a goal, but by then we've already conceded from a set piece, because again we cannot defend from balls into the box, from free kicks, corners, and I mean that's really the only way that we can do it. But even in so many scenarios, whether it's a dead ball going into the box, or even a ball that comes into the box against physical sides when they just want to ping the ball into the box. Like I saw Wimbledon did it again today. They continuously do it. Wimbledon continuously like putting the ball into their strong forward. Piggott, I think it was. Yeah, Piggott. You know, it goes straight into him. He's a tall, strong lad. It goes into the box, and he looks like he's got a clear-cut chance. And too many times, again today, it was that again. It was a case of, we look so fragile from a set piece. We look like when we give away a corner, we can look over the scoreboard. Oh, look, it's changed again, lads, because we've conceded from another blooming set piece. The amount of set pieces that we concede is ridiculous. And even when we don't concede from them, we still look fragile. Ball, again, it goes into the box again. Piggott should have scored I don't know if it was a free kick or a corner, but it goes into the box. He's basically got a free header. You know, it's like Elliot Moore's 5 foot. Elliot Moore's probably, and is, I'd say, over 6 foot. I don't know how much over 6 foot he is, but he's definitely higher than 6 foot. So it's not like he's a small centre half. Rob Atkinson, again, pretty much, I'd probably say he's quite similar. I mean, obviously I'm looking at it through an unfortunate screen at the moment, but you know, it's like Rob Atkinson, Elliot, and Rob Dickey, but I'd probably say similar height. And again, you know, I thought we'll come on to individual performances in a minute, but I think Rob Atkinson and Elliot Moore, they're not a small defensive partnership in terms of height. They should be winning their headers, and too many times, and it's not just them, I'm talking the fullbacks as well, have not been winning headers, and we cannot win headers from corners. So it's frustrating. It is really frustrating, because I think I'm always going to be positive, and there are so many positives from today's game. We won the game, a huge positive, but there are little things as well, breaking that team down, and when we can break that team down, we are one of the best sides in the league, if not the best side in the league, and that's coming from a biased opinion, I know it is, but I generally do think we will be the best team in this league if we can get past this thing of, let's not look over the scoreboard straight when we've got a corner or a free kick, because it's probably going to change, and can we try and break down teams quicker and stop struggling against teams that are going to sit behind the ball, going to play a plank of 4 or even a plank of 5 like Wimbledon did today? And can we break them down, and how quick can we break them down? We've got the players to do it. We now need the players to do it at a quicker pace, and we've done it. We've definitely have done it. But in recent games, Wimbledon have done it for us. Did it today. Wickham did it last season. In fact, Wickham did Wimbledon. Wickham. I keep getting them mixed up. Both begin with W. Wickham did it again in our actual league clash when we beat them 1-0 at home. It took a while for us to get that goal. So that's frustrating as well. We finally did, but we didn't concede, thankfully. But again, it's frustrating. That's the only real negative, I think. We're very, very good in possession. Great passing football. It's breaking that team down and sorting those free kicks and corners out. And can we start defending set pieces properly? That's what we want. And I do have faith that we can sort that out as quickly as possible. And once we've done that, like I said, we can be and will be the best team in League One, from a biased opinion, of course. There's some fantastic teams in this league, but I do think on our day we can be and will be the best team in League One. And I'm 100% sure of that. The way we play our football is very attractive, and it wins us football matches, which of course is the main thing as well. If we were sat and we're nowhere near looking like we're going to get promoted and going to be competing, but I'm sitting here saying we play attractive football, I'd be looking at players and thinking, let's bid off the attractive football and let's just try and win games. But thankfully, attractive football and great passing and possession has been winning us games for a long time. And since Carl Robinson's brought this philosophy into the football club, it's worked for us. So that's the main analysis and the main core of the game. Of course, in the match, in the actual, what happened in the game, we gave away a silly penalty, which I don't think was a penalty. We probably should have got another penalty. We probably should have. We nearly conceded another penalty against when Rob Atkinson took a man down in the box. I don't think the penalty that we actually got given against us was a penalty. I think that Rob Atkinson was more of a penalty than that. I don't think Rob Atkinson's really was a penalty. I mean, I've looked at it on like a one highlight you get from watching the actual game live, and it didn't look like too much of a penalty. I'm probably wrong there, but it didn't look like a horrific penalty decision. And the Anthony Ford when he literally just ran into him. So again, we saved it in the day. We gave away a penalty, but it didn't go in. And I mean, penalties. We seem to like penalties, like giving them away. 3 penalties conceded in the last 4 games. We've saved every single one of them. Obviously, there's a penalty shootout against Portsmouth last season, in which we won as well. We had Sunderland's penalty shootout in the Carabao Cup in this competition last season as well, which we won as well. So we've got a good record in penalty shootouts. But at the moment, penalties seem to be an addiction. We actually lost the game. They lost the playoff final from a penalty as well. So if we can stop using the word penalty, unless we're going to start taking more of them, like we did very well today, but in a 90-minute game of football, that'd be much appreciated, Oxford United. So silly penalty to give away, but thankfully we saved it. Big up Simon Eastwood for doing that, for doing just that. And that was really the only sort of thing that happened in the game. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to go on about the set piece, but we conceded from a sloppy set piece. I think it went down as a Taylor own goal. Good goal from Cameron Brannigan as a volley. So the actual way of the game was pretty decent. We'll talk about individual performances now. I'm going to be doing my player ratings. We'll start off with Eastwood in goal in terms of player ratings. I thought Eastwood had a fantastic game today. I thought Simon Eastwood had one of his best games. I think he's under a bit of pressure with the Jack Stevens competition situation. Of course, Jack Stevens saved the penalty against Crystal Palace. Simon Eastwood didn't have a great game in goal against Wickham in the playoff final. He had to sort his head out after that. Jack Stevens has done very well in pre-season. He wants that competition. He's now got that competition. But I think he did fantastically well today. To save a penalty, he made 2 very good saves. Denied Wickham, I'm going to get it right eventually, Wimbledon the goal, or the 2 goals they should have scored. And was the penalty hero. Was scoring 2 penalties saving 2 penalties against Wimbledon in the penalty shootout today. So I think he had a very, very good performance. So 8 out of 10 for Simon Eastwood. Sam Long, I've given him a 6. Pretty average. Not an unbelievable performance. Not a bad performance by any stretch of the imagination. I thought Sam Long was pretty solid today. And I think that's what you get with Sam Long. You're not going to get your bombing, attacking right back that you got with Chris Cadden, and we're hopefully going to get with Sean Clay. You're not going to get that. You're going to get an out-and-out defensive right back. And I think we got that today. Nothing unbelievable, but nothing to note in terms of a bad performance from Sam Long today. 6 out of 10, very, very average. But an average performance did us okay, Sam Long, today. He did actually get substituted, and we'll be doing the substitute player ratings in a second. I haven't actually written them down, so I'm going to have to make that up as we go along. But anyway, Rob Atkinson, I've given him a 7 today. I think he probably should have got a penalty. Should have given away a penalty. Should have given away a penalty. I think he probably should have had a penalty given against him. That's about a good way of putting it. But generally, I think he looked very, very solid today. I think he's fitted into that sort of centre-back instead of Rob Dickie very, very well. Very, very similar to Rob Dickie. Likes passing out of the back, and we spoke about this in the preview, but I'll mention it again because hopefully more people are going to listen to the match reaction. If you are, though, leave a like. Atkinson did very well, passing the ball out, playing the ball out, running with the ball out. I think he did very well today. Also, just seeing there, QPR lost to Plymouth today in the Carabao Cup, and Dickey played 90 minutes, conceding 3 goals in his first game. So Rob Dickey not starting his QPR career as well as Atkinson did, only conceding 1 goal. And I thought Atkinson did very, very well today. He's looked very good in pre-season. I mentioned that in the pre-season review. And I think he stepped in and sort of put himself in those big shoes of Rob Dickey very, very well. Really impressed with Rob Atkinson. I'm hopefully going to continue to be impressed by Rob Atkinson. Elliot Moore today, I thought was very, very good. I've given him a 6 out of 10. I don't know why I said really, really good. I don't know why I said that. He wasn't really, really good. He was good. Elliot Moore today, 6 out of 10 again. Same as Sam Long, very, very average. A good performance. Not a bad performance. Not an unbelievable performance. I thought it was pretty solid. I thought that he defensively, I thought his heading ability has always been a strength of Elliot Moore. And I think he did that today. He made a really, really good interception from a ball that was put in the box in the first half by Wimbledon. I thought he did very, very well to get to that. Nothing unbelievable, nothing spectacular. I thought Atkinson had more of the ball. I think he was defending more of Wimbledon, which is why I've probably given him a high rating, because I probably saw more of him. That's why there's a 1 sort of rating difference between the 2 centre halves today. But I think today, I think Elliot Moore had a pretty decent, average, good performance through different words to describe him today. I think that does sum it quite well. Not an unbelievable performance, but not a bad performance. Elliot Moore, you've got yourself 6 out of 10 today. A left back, Josh Ruffles, and I think Josh Ruffles is going to be one of the players. There's another player that's also got himself a 5 out of 10 today. The reason why I think he's got a 5 out of 10 today, and the reason why I've given him that, is because, and it was the same against Brentford, and it's been the same against QPR, and it's the same against Crystal Palace. And even not really the back end of last season, but definitely in the pre-season, he's looked very burnt out, in my opinion. He looks like he needs a rest. I think it is down to the fact that he simply has no cover at left back, and I think that is more of a priority than the striker situation. We understand Carl wants to bring in a striker, and we did briefly mention that last episode, but I think it has to be left back. We've got to prioritise. Josh Ruffles has played football and is having to play football matches every match for 90 minutes, which for a player is a way of literally burning them out, and we're not even at the start of the season yet. Who is going to play at left back in the Leasing Cup on Tuesday? I have no idea. If it is Josh Ruffles, I think we're going to be in a bit of bother, because I don't know. I think Josh Ruffles is a fantastic left back, but he has no cover behind him, and there's no player that can step in, and he can have a week's break, and he can play a football without a football match without having to play. So yeah, I've given him a 5 out of 10 today. He looked quite shaky. Some of his passes were off. I thought he was all over the shop at times, but I love Josh Ruffles. He's a fantastic left back. Not a great performance from him today. 5 out of 10 for him. He needs a rest, Carl, but we can't cry to Carl Robinson, because there is simply no cover at left back. We can potentially play Sam Long at left back, and maybe Sam Long coming off today was so that he could have a couple of minutes off the pitch, a couple of minutes rest, or 20, 30 minutes rest, so he plays a full 90 again on Tuesday night. I don't know, maybe that's a solution, but I mean, Josh Ruffles played 90 minutes today, looked burnt out. As we move on to the midfield then, Alex Gorin has got himself a 6 out of 10 today. Reason behind that, I thought he looked pretty average, pretty good. I thought I think he tackled the grass at times. I think he sort of tripped over at times. I think he sort of was a little bit out of comfort in terms of we're going to see the ball a lot. And I think that's been the case before. He was never used and has never seen the ball as much as he's got Oxford United when he was out in Scotland. I think he was very much a sweeper, very much defensive, centred defensive midfielder, which I think still is his role at Oxford United. But I think it's also a case of we're going to see the ball a lot. We're going to have to keep possession quite a lot. And Gorin's done that today. I think Gorin did that and has done very well of that today. It looked a little bit shaky at times, but I think generally he did do very well. The tackles that Gorin puts in are fantastic. The passion he puts into each game is fantastic, and that's why Gorin's got a 6 out of 10 today. A good performance from him. Cameron Brannigan. a captain. I think he's going to be the captain going into the season. I don't see why not. Messina, of course, is the club captain, but I don't think he's going to be getting any minutes or many minutes this season. So Brannigan's going to get himself has got himself at 8 out of 10. The captain today, of course, the goal scorer. In the 90 minutes, I thought he had a very, very good game. I thought his passing was completely on point. I think the way he dictated the game, which is a Cameron Brannigan thing to do, was fantastic. I think his goal was very, very well executed. A very, very nice volley. I thought generally he was very, very good. I thought he looked up in that midfield very well. I think him and McGuane have sort of already formed a very, very good partnership in there. And I think Cameron Brannigan had a fantastic game. Really impressed with Cameron Brannigan today. And I think he is the right fit for captain. He's got himself an 8 out of 10 today. In terms of Marcus McGuane, he's got a 7 out of 10 today. I thought he wasn't as good and has been better against QPR, Crystal Palace, and against Brentford. Today, though, I generally thought he did look still very well. This is why he's got a 7 out of 10. He had a good performance, a very, very good performance. In my opinion, I thought he definitely did still use his strength to his ability. He offered us a lot in midfield. He drew a lot of fouls. He got us a lot of fouls as well. His passing was very good with Brannigan as well. They formed that good relationship in that midfield. And I think he also does show aspects of the Baptiste, the very strong, positive-minded midfielder. Him and Baptiste are very, very similar, and it does show similarities. So I think Marcus McGuane had a good game today for Oxford. I think there's a lot more to come from him, but I think if he shows signs of him in pre-season, I think he's going to have a very, very good season. Not the best of performances, but certainly not a bad one. 7 out of 10 for Marcus McGuane today. Number 7. Mark Sykes has got himself a number 7. Good performance, I thought, from Mark Sykes today. I thought he looked very, very good. I thought his trickery was very good down the left, where he played today as well. I thought he's a very, very quick player. He's sort of learning that left-hand side role pretty well. He's learning those wide areas very, very well. I think he did exactly the same today in this game. I thought standout for me was definitely when he's running down that left-hand side, using that trickery, beating those players exactly what we want, putting those balls into the box. If he can put the ball in the box and score from them, that's fantastic, like he, of course, did against Wickham. Good performance from Mark Sykes today, a solid performance from him, and he's growing game by game. Really impressed with Sykesy today. He's got himself a 7 out of 10, and that thoroughly deserved. We'll go with the striker then. Matty Taylor got himself a 6, in my opinion, today. The reason why he's got a little bit lower average performance, I mean, I have sort of taken the penalties into consideration. I think it'd be unfair not to. I think it'd be unfair to say, Eastwood, you've got a 7 out of 10, but you saved 2 penalties in the penalty shootout, but you're keeping a 7. I have sort of looked at that in the sense as well. Brannigan got the winning penalty. I think Brannigan got an 8 anyway, but he got a winning penalty. Matty Taylor, very good penalty for Matty Taylor. But in terms of in the game, he didn't get much supply, not a great amount of service, if any. No standout chances. Thought he was pretty good. In terms of holding the ball up at times. I thought he ran onto some good chances as well. I think some of the balls running forward he definitely did chase, which is what we want for a centre forward. Of course, we are looking to bring in another centre forward. He looked pretty decent. Not the best performance from Matty Taylor today. Didn't get a goal in the 90 minutes, but a decent performance. Not a great one. 6 out of 10 for Matty Taylor today. In terms of the final player that we're going to be rated on in the starting lineup, James Henry. I'll give James Henry a 5 today. Again, I'll go back to the penalty shootout. He missed his penalty. Didn't turn out to mean anything, but he missed his penalty. He didn't look great in the game. Didn't look very sharp. Didn't look like the same James Henry. He looks a little bit tired. Looks a bit like he's still carrying the knock. Of course, we know he carried a knock in pre-season as well. Didn't look himself, James Henry. We love the James Henry of last season, the seasons and seasons before that. I'm sure he will get back to that, but he is showing the sort of signs of a player that's a little bit burnt out, similar to Josh Ruffles, and that's why those two players have got a 5 today. Not a great performance from Henry today. We didn't see that sort of that winger of James Henry we love when they're pinging those balls into Matty Taylor and him finishing off. We didn't see that partnership much today. Those two players, of course, getting the 6 and 5 out of 10. Not a great performance from James Henry today, but I'm pretty sure I'm sure he'll get back to the James Henry he's got. He's got a rest now. I doubt he's going to play against Chelsea under-21s on Tuesday night, so he's got practically and definitely now a full week of recovery, and in a week's time all of these boys I'm sure will be playing, apart from probably Sam Long, who Sean Clare will probably come in, but he's not going to be walking to the starting lineup because Sam Long didn't have a bad game today at all. they're the player ratings for today. I'm just going to whiz through the substitute player ratings. I thought who came on? Liam Kelly did okay. I'd probably give him a 6 out of 10. Didn't change the game too much. Derek Ossie, didn't see much of him. I probably have to give him a 5. And the other player that came on was... Well, this is awkward. This is why it proves it's live. Well, not live, but proves it's a podcast in which completely off the tongue. Who was the other substitute? Anthony Ford came on for Sam Long at right back. Sorry, the camera died again there. When we go past 30 minutes, the camera decides just to stop. So, that's why there's pauses. If there's a longer than 30-minute podcast and you're listening or watching on YouTube, that is why the camera changes and there's a bit of a pause because we have to reset the camera. But anyway, that was the last substitute. Anthony Ford came on at right back. I don't think he did extremely well. He put a couple of balls in the box that were okay. Not brilliant, but I still don't think Anthony Ford's a right back. That's the problem I've got. I don't see the right back in Anthony Ford. I don't know why. I just think I haven't seen much of it. I saw a little bit of it last season. I know that he played a little bit of last season. I just prefer him in the wing. I prefer him in midfield. I don't think he's a right back. And obviously, thankfully, we have got Sean Clare in the right back as well as Sam Long as well. But yeah, 6 out of 10 for Anthony Ford. I thought he put a couple of balls in the box and he scored a very, very nice penalty in the penalty shootout. Kelly, I'd say a 6. Didn't change the game too much, but some nice passing, some nice forward-thinking passes. And I'd give probably a 5. Didn't touch the ball. I think he might have touched the ball twice. Not much of an impact, but it's probably only on for about 10 minutes anyway. So I wasn't expecting too much of that. But that's probably where I'm going to wrap up the player ratings. Probably where I'm going to wrap up this episode of the podcast. The first ever match reaction, match review of the season. Very exciting stuff. We'll be back next week. Probably back next Friday. Unless we have big news. There are some news coming up at Oxford United. I'm going to briefly mention it now. There probably will be an episode if we sign... I know I did mention this in the last episode that I probably wasn't going to do another transfer episode of the podcast, and I might not still, because I don't really want to bore the podcast episodes with just transfer news. I love the transfer. I do love doing the transfer podcast, but I want to solely now the season starts, let's focus on the football. But there is some big news. Apparently, we're going to be signing a striker we know about, of course. The left back cover, which we desperately need. That's priority, in my opinion. Left winger cover, because of course Joel Cooper was out on international duty. Didn't play a single minute last night for Northern Ireland. So he could have played today, unless he plays, of course, when they next play, because they've got another game, of course, before international duty finishes. Gavin White, though, interestingly, got the winner for Northern Ireland. So a good favourite of Oxford United, of course. But anyway, that's what I'm going to wrap up this episode of the match review. I was going to quickly say as well, they're the transfer news, and apparently Carl Robinson is very close to signing a new contract at the club, which is very, very good and very, very exciting. If that's true, of course, we will be doing an episode on the podcast probably about that and the new signings. If it's just a contract extension, I probably won't bother doing another episode of the podcast because there isn't much to talk about. It's fantastic if he does sign another contract. An extended contract, staying at Oxford United for longer, that would be great. But if there's that and 3 other transfers as well, or 2 other transfers, or just another transfer, I will be probably doing an episode on that as well. I'll be taking a look at the players that we've signed, or if a player is signed between now and next week. But if not, I'll see you on probably Friday for the match preview for the Lincoln game, a huge preview episode. I understand the preview episode yesterday was one of those where, if you're not interested in a Carabao game against Wimbledon, the preview probably wouldn't be as attractive to listen to. However, I really hope you've enjoyed this. I really hope you watch this. If you could share this episode, that would be fantastic. We're trying to grow the podcast in the positive direction, and today is very, very good. If you couldn't watch the game today and you didn't listen to the game and you wanted to listen to a fan opinion, that's what the match review and the match reaction episode of the podcast is all about. This should be the same every single time we have a game. It's either going to be the Saturday of the game or it will be the day after. Or if it's a Tuesday night game in the league, we probably will be out on Wednesday. But that's where I'm going to wrap up this episode of the podcast. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode of the Young Fan Podcast. Hopefully you have a good rest of your week. I might see you midweek. If not, I'll see you on Friday. Have a fantastic week. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you later.